Ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be the most value-packed video I believe that I've made. Now, I'm going to show you why I have chosen the things I've chosen, because some people may not agree with me in this video, and that's completely fine because I don't care. All I want to show you is my thinking process behind this and what it actually takes to become a successful real estate agent, and how I can use my abilities with technology and social media to help you outrun anyone in your office and in your area. So without further ado, let's get into why. By the end of the video, you're going to learn the top 10 things to become a successful real estate agent. So it really dawned on me of how do I answer such a broad yet difficult question? How do you become the best agent in the area? So I had to think about this one quite hard because this wasn't easy to do, and yet I think I have found the process which you can use for anything, but I've used for this. Now, it's called inversion thinking or reverse engineering, if you don't know already. Now, if you do not recognize this person right here, it's Charlie Munger, and he's regarded as, one of the best investment and business people ever to live, besides obviously Warren Buffett. But the lessons that he talks about are just so invaluable that it's insane. He gives away so much value because he doesn't need it. He's earned all the money that he ever did. And the biggest thing that I've actually taken away was his inversion thinking process, which is going to be the backbone of how we're going to answer this question, how to become the most successful real estate agent. Okay. So a small story is that he actually had a job as being part of like a pilot crew, and he had to think to himself, well, how can I make sure I get these people safe from point A to point B, okay? And most people would think, okay, well, make sure that we have safety regulations, seatbelts on, make sure that we're fueled up all the way. And it's kind of harder doing that, because if you just think of the things that will make you the best, it's harder than thinking, okay, what would make me the worst, or the worst possible reason that this wouldn't be a safe flight. So he said to himself, well, how could I kill my cabin crew as quickly as possible? Okay. And that's how we need to think. So if we want to know, well, how do we become the most successful real estate agent? We have to say, how do I become the worst real estate agent? Okay. Inversion thinking. So look, if you are at home and you do have some time, I highly, highly recommend that you pause this video and genuinely ask yourself, how do I become the worst real estate agent? It's a serious question. Seriously, take not even 1 minute to do it. I'll wait. Okay, now that you're back, you probably have a list, and it may be similar to mine or not, but this is what I would think the worst real estate agent would be. So I have a list of 10 different aspects of what would make a real estate agent the worst. Obviously, firstly, a lack of communication. Secondly, dishonesty. Thirdly, poor market knowledge. They have no idea about the area. They constantly miss appointments. They neglect any form of marketing, paid or free. They ignore their clients' needs. They never do anything for their clients. They're very unreliable people. They're very disorganized. They have a very negative attitude. And last but not least, they neglect continuous learning, which obviously isn't you, because this is why you're watching this video. So I'm going to break down each of these points and actually reverse them. So here we have the reverse list. So the first one that we are obviously going to talk about is effective communication. Okay, effective communication. Now, before we get started and talk about effective communication, there's one very important step that you need to know. And this is something that I've learned and has changed my mindset completely. Because look, let's be serious. At the end of the day, it's all about mindset, because winners never quit and quitters never win. And here's the saying that I learned and I always use in any thinking process part of my life. It's, what would a blank do? What would a blank, okay? What would a millionaire do in this situation? What would a successful real estate agent do in this situation? So whenever you're across a problem, whenever you haven't closed that deal, whenever you haven't gotten that appraisal because there's another team that is very strong, always think to yourself, what would a very successful real estate agent? Okay, so I want you to keep that in the back of your mind. And of course here, I have a photo of Ryan Serhant because he's one of the best real estate agents in the world, and on social media with his presence. So let's go back and let's talk about great communication. What do I mean by great communication? Firstly, making sure that all your clients are informed, regardless of appraisals, auctions, information. You want to call them, you want to text them, you want to email them. All right. You can even say one form of communication is actually through social media. That's another way that you can be a great communicator. Okay. And the way to think of this is like a bridge. Okay. Because one side is the other person, the other side is you. If there is no bridge, if there's no gateway, if there's no calling, texting, email them, there's no way they're going to understand what you're talking about or have any idea of what your plans are and what you're up to. Okay. So that's effective communication. That's number one. Now, what is the second way to become the best real estate agent? Well, instead of dishonesty, it's being honest. Now, a lot of people, especially in sales, is you don't want to be blatantly honest, right? But I disagree with that, because every part of your action in every day is a reflection of you. So you must always be responsible for what you say, because it can be used against you. It's just true. It will show in your work if you are not honest, if your marketing is not honest. And as a result, I mean, when you do become honest, people will actually start to refer you because say, look, this guy, he helped me through the process. It was absolutely incredible. There was not one thing that we didn't know coming into this. We felt so confident. And look, that's why I would refer him, or something like that. Okay. So honesty is definitely the biggest thing. Look, you can look at any sales gurus, Grant Cardone, whatever. You tell them straight. There's no hiding. You tell them the facts and you be honest. That's just how it works. And of course, market knowledge. I think this is something massive, and I mean, now it's incredibly important, and you should know everything about your area that there is. I mean, most likely you are living in that area, but you need to know everything about it. So a strong market knowledge comes down to these. You always want to be up to date on those key statistics and be involved in your community, because that's how you know what's going on. Firstly, you want to know the median house price. Okay, that's just standard in your area that you prospect in, as well as any local updates, any councils, laws, any new construction that's happening. Most likely, you want to be up to date on that. So, well, hey, there's going to be great investment because there's going to be new shopping centers built around this area, as well as what local events are there. You should probably attend them. You should introduce yourself, and it's a great networking experience. And you should also know what the average rent costs per week is, or per month, depending on what area or country you're from. But the main parts of that, you just want to know as much as you can. And if you don't, there's so many resources out there. I mean, you can ask people, you can ask the internet. You've got ChatGPT, you've got Perplexity that does your market analysis. So really, there's no excuse for you. Fourth is going to be punctuality. Now, what do I mean by punctuality? Because I guess this is something that isn't your average thing that most people will talk about. But this goes down to humans. As humans, we are creatures of habits. And what habits we place in as simple as going to bed regularly, waking up early enough, coming to the office on time. Yes, this is what I'm referring to. If you come to work on time, if you're showing up to appraisals, if you're coming earlier than anyone else, then you are the best. You are successful. This is just one form of success. Now, if you don't know the famous Michael Jordan, okay, the greatest basketball player of all time, the biggest thing that he did was his punctuality. He would come earlier than anyone else to training, and he would leave after everyone had left, okay? He was the first person to come, and he was the last person to leave. Now, if that isn't punctuality, and if that isn't dedication, then I don't know what is, okay? You want to be successful, you be the Michael Jordan of real estate. Now, of course, it's my favorite, effective marketing, okay? That is probably the biggest thing besides sales and market knowledge is, well, effective marketing, okay? So what is effective marketing? What is marketing anyway, okay? So there's two types of marketing that we can do, all right? Marketing being that it's free, or marketing being that it's paid. Are we doing paid advertisement or free advertisement, okay? So an example of this is we're posting a minimum of 3 posts a day on our Instagram. Simple as that, right? Content on your stories, it's as simple as that. You can even use paid advertisement. Paid being you can spend as little as $10 a day on ads, such as a Facebook ad, and that'll give you a lot of information. It can even get you some leads, and it's a great way to get some exposure to yourself, right? So that was paid advertisement. Now there's different paid advertisement. You can do pay per click, which is what PPC stands for, or search engine optimization. Now, I don't want you to stress about knowing what those words are. All you need to know is, do you want to be the number one person in the search bar when they ask for realtors in your area? SEO is very good for that. Or do you want to get to quick lead and paid per click? Those are just some of the pros and cons, but you must, regardless of if it's free or if it's paid, I don't care, you have to be omnipresent. Now, what does that even mean? What does omnipresence mean? Well, you must be on all these social platforms. It's not even negotiable, right? So obviously we have to be on Instagram, okay? And Instagram is also linked with Facebook, so it's really easy to push out content since they're practically owned by the same people, which they are. TikTok is one of the biggest and popular emerging social media platforms. It's been out for quite a while now, and if you haven't made an account on there already, I suggest that you do. As well as YouTube. I think YouTube is the most underrated social platform because all of these right here are short form content, which is great. And they get you lots of views. Do they get you lots of sales? Yes, sometimes, but not all the time. And I would argue that the best platform for sales is actually YouTube. YouTube creates you the best, most loyal fans and followers, okay? There is no doubt about it. I would highly recommend that if you really want to be successful, you need to create a YouTube channel. And lastly is LinkedIn, which obviously you can network and connect with more people, which is a great platform. Okay, so next up on our list, the sixth reason is being attentive to your client's needs, okay? So let's talk about it. So when I'm talking about this, I actually found a great story, and it was actually by Alex Hormozier, right? He's one of the best marketers out there, and he had a simple story, and it was this. His girlfriend was asking to get her nails done, right? Now, she just called random places because she was on a holiday, didn't know where she was. And when she called, the first person said, oh, look, sorry, we're not available. Can you do it 2 days from now? We're available in 2 days from now. Went to the next person. Oh, yeah, look, we're not available now, but you know what? We can do it a day from now. She called the third person up, all right? Third nail shop up. And then they said, yep, sure, we can get you in now. So there's this kind of distortion of, well, if we say that we're packed, we're going to show them that we're very in demand. But in that case, it doesn't matter because you are a service, which is the same thing. A nail shop, real estate agents, I know they're not comparable, but they are both a service. So if I was a person looking to sell my house and you say, well, look, I go to 5 different agents. The first agent I ask, I'm like, look, I need an appraisal done for my house ASAP. Look, when is the closest time that you can come? Like, can you come today? Oh, I'm really busy. Next. Goes to the fourth one. Look, I can do it tomorrow. Next. Yeah, look, can we do it 2 days from now? Next. A week from now? Next. And the one person that says, yep, sure, when you're available, I can do it in an hour's time. Perfect, give me the address, done. So that person that won the appraisal was the one that was actually going to this client's needs. Now, I know when you first start, and a lot of people say, look, you're going to eat some shit, right? You're going to be in the dirt, as some people might say. But what you need to know is that you should never, ever think that you're too good enough for someone else, right? You do not want to think you're too good for anyone and leave them unanswered and not go to their requests because that's customer service. You need to. Okay, so the seventh on our list that will make you a successful real estate agent is reliability. Now that is a massive one, reliability. So what I wanted to speak on reliability is, look, I know being a real estate agent is a very commitment job, right? It's a committed job that you have to really, your life is surrounding this job, right? Being a reliable person is most important, right? We want to be reliable. We want to be known as a reliable person. So keeping promises and following through on commitments. If you say something, you're going to do something, okay? And if we do this, we are going to build a great reputation, not just in our office, because that's great, but as a person. So when people come to us, they always know how to rely. Your family, your friends, colleagues, prospects, all round. It's not just real estate, it's all round. Because if you become a reliable person, that will show in your work. Okay, guys, third last last factor of why you will become a successful real estate agent after this video. And of course, instead of being disorganized, you want to be organized. So you want to be organized. What does this mean? That could mean many things. Well, you want to make sure that you're organized with your deadlines, right? Obviously, you're managing your time effectively. And I mean, being organized means that you are not procrastinating on what you're doing, okay? So you're managing your time effective, right? In order to manage your time effectively, we want to use things like reminders, Google calendars, Apple calendars, making sure that we know when we have appraisals, we're going to be organized, we're going to be there 10, 15 minutes beforehand, getting ready, open for inspections. We're there half an hour early. That's what we want. Okay, guys, almost done. This is the second last factor of, this is one of the most important, okay? And it's really this, okay? Positive attitude. Okay, so if I could choose any of these factors of becoming a good real estate agent, I mean, look, I'm a realist. There's no negative, there's no positive. You have to look at the situation. But overall, as an overarching broad thing, you have to be positive. You have to follow in that intuition of yourself, and you need to make sure that you are fully confident in what you're doing. All right, if you're becoming a real estate agent, and if you are a real estate agent, impossible doesn't exist in your vocabulary, okay? And I have this very, very good quote that I wanted to touch on, which is, believe you can, and you're halfway there. Theodore Roosevelt, a very wise guy. If you do not know him, it's just an unbelievable quote. Because if you already believe that you're there, you're just halfway there, right? You're halfway there. Most people aren't even halfway there, right? They're at zero. But if you just believe that, look, we can do this. I know we're going to get this done. We're going to get this property sold. I'm going to find the vendor, a good buyer. I'm going to sell it for a good price, okay? So you got to maintain that all the time. Now, you don't want to be too happy and excited, and energetic is great. You want to be realistic, but you always have to keep in your mind and your attitude that you're always going to be positive. So, look, that candid attitude, of course, focus on more so a solution-oriented thinking. And look, I would always say be proactive, not reactive. What do I mean? I mean that you plan beforehand for it actually has happened, instead of coming to the day where you need to sell the house and you have no buyers, and then you're doing all you can that last day. All right. So yeah, I've got that little smiley face here, but so important. Okay, guys, last but not least, this is the most important factor that I had on my list, which was being committed to continuous learning. Okay, right? If you see the opposite of this, it's neglecting continuous learning. The only thing you have over any other agents, especially as a beginner, is continuous learning, because they could be a real estate agent for 20 years, but they may know no one to learn in new technologies, in new rules, foundations, CRMs, softwares, anything. You can use that as your advantage, because that is their biggest Achilles heel. For someone that's been working for so much, they sometimes think that they know it all, right? Which, let's be honest, 20 years is a long time, even 15 years. But regardless, if they stop learning or wanting to learn, you are just going to leapfrog from where they are. So, look, if you want to be committed to continuous learning, then you need to constantly be up to date on what you need to know, your regulations, your rules, your policies, which is great. Most importantly, the easiest way to become smart or good at anything is by reading. I cannot stress you how important this is to read. And your mindset. It's absolutely insane. The amount of value that you will get from reading is insane. So what I would say is that, look, I want you to find a book, right? I want you to find a book, all right? Okay? You're going to find a book, all right? And you just want to make sure that you just allocate just a small amount of time. It can literally be as little as 20 minutes a day, all right? 20 minutes in a day. That's it. Like, you could skip everything else here, besides a positive attitude, and if you just kept learning and learning and learning and learning, and then you read, like, let's just say, one book every month, do you know how much ahead you would be than everyone else? It would just be an unfair advantage. That would be your unfair advantage, because knowledge is power. Now look, if you would like any of this and you thought that this resource was valuable, don't be afraid to DM me on Instagram. That way I can actually send this to you and you don't have to follow any of these notes. You need to come back and watch it, but I highly recommend that you go back to these top 10 things. So let's go back to our original list. Lack of communication is now effective communication. Being dishonest is now honesty. Poor market knowledge is now strong market knowledge. Missing appointments is now being punctual. Neglecting marketing is effective marketing now. Ignoring your clients' needs, being attentive and being good to your clients. Unreliable, reliability. Disorganized, now you're organized. Negative attitude, a positive attitude. Neglecting continuous learning, and now you're committed to continuous learning. Okay? Look, if you stayed all the way to the end of this video, I highly recommend that you subscribe, because I'm going to be posting more content like this, and the way I find out is if you subscribe and you follow.